I definitely went into Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 with an open mind because the first film had its moments. It wasn't great, but I was curious to check out the second film, and unfortunately, it's not good. The narrative is very, very, very slow. It is not scary. There are maybe 5 minutes of scariness in the entire film, and the film is about an hour and a half. I will say we have some good characters, but they are in it so infrequently that they might as well not be in it, and that would defeat the whole purpose. So I will talk about that in a little bit more detail, but I won't give any spoilers. Not that I think there's a lot to spoil, but I won't give anything away about what happens later on in the narrative, just in case you decide to watch it. This was released, of course, this year in 2024. It's directed by Rhys Frake-Waterfield and written by Frake-Waterfield and Matt Leslie. And we have a cast including Scott Chambers as Christopher Robin. We have Ryan Oliva as Winnie the Pooh, Lewis Santer as Tigger, Eddy MacKenzie as Piglet, and Marcus Massey as Owl. And I really want to praise Owl, because that was the scariest in the whole film. That being said, I don't think it looks like Owl. It looks like a menacing bird, but it doesn't... It took me a second. I didn't look at IMDb before watching this, and I saw the creature, and I was thinking, who is that meant to be? And then I realised it's a bird, it must be Owl. Whereas Pooh Bear and the others, yeah, I can kind of see who they're meant to be. But definitely the most menacing aspect is Owl. But Owl and the others are barely in it. The film is all about Christopher Robin, and there are a lot of using of Ouija boards and talking with people and so much talking. And the narrative doesn't go anywhere. It's not interesting. And unfortunately, the Winnie the Pooh characters, Christopher Robin aside, are barely in it. So yes, they look fantastic, and yes, Owl is very menacing, the others aren't. Winnie the Pooh maybe looked a little bit sinister, but we don't really ever get a proper look at them. It's always in the shadows, it's always close-ups of them. Again, not so much with Owl. We got to see quite a bit of Owl's body and the character as a whole, but with the rest it's usually in the shadows, close-ups, so we don't get to see too much of them. And I don't know if they're just afraid of people saying the characters don't look the way one would expect, so they don't really show us that much of them, because actually I think they look fine. I think, you can see them in pictures and things. I think they do look pretty decent, especially Pooh Bear. Owl looked more like a crow than an owl to me, but nevertheless, pretty well done costumes, and when they're on screen, they have a presence. But unfortunately, they're not on screen very often. So it's basically just a very boring, slow film about Christopher Robin. Occasionally, we cut to the other characters. It's not a good story. It's not well written. The performances are good. I think the performances across the board are very good. And it could have been scary. But unfortunately, there was one moment where I kind of laughed because there was what they were definitely trying to make as a jump scare. It's when one of the characters quite literally jumps into the screen and jumps onto somebody. And clearly that's meant to be a jump scare. And I felt nothing. I didn't flinch. And I'm pathetic. When it comes to jump scares, I do jump. And with this, I didn't move. So even the bits that are meant to be scary generally aren't scary. It's a novelty. And with the first film, they had a chance to take on board any feedback. Obviously, the first film, a lot of people did see it. There are a lot of opinions out there. There are some constructive reviews. There are also some very just bitter reviews, which is fair enough. But they had a chance to improve on the second film, to take the time to write a better narrative, to make a scarier film. And while it does seem like they tried a little bit more with the characters in this, again, they're barely in it. If the characters were in it a lot more, it might have been a little bit better. Unfortunately, it's not a good film. Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 is absolutely a gimmick. It's poorly written, poorly executed, not scary at all. But I would watch a third one. If they do another one, I will absolutely watch it. Not because I think it will be a good film, but because I'm just so curious. I would be keen to see what they do with a third film. We'll see if that happens, but for now, I can say that Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey 2 isn't a good film, but if you're curious, check it out. It's not a great experience, but there are some moments that are, I guess, watchable.